Gather around, kids. It's almost time for tunes. Here's your look at the NECA Toys Halloween 3 Season of the Witch Tiny Terrors. NECA's adorably creepy Toony Terrors line welcomes Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Bring the fun of Saturday morning cartoons to your collection with the stylized action figure 3-pack. It contains 6-inch scale versions of the iconic trick-or-treaters from the 1982 horror movie. Before we go shopping for some suspect masks, let's first figure out how tall the trick-or-treaters stand. Both the skeleton and the witch, bookend on either side of the jack-o'-lantern, are the shorter of the 3 figures. So we're going to only really measure off one of them and just to see how tall it stands. The skeleton, and in this case the witch, would be about the same, or about 3 inches in height, or about 7.5 centimeters tall. Then for the jack-o'-lantern, which unfortunately has some tough time to stand, we're going to talk more about that in a moment. The jack-o'-lantern, though, including the witch's hat, which is non-removable, gives us a figure that's almost about 5 inches, or about 4 3/4 of an inch tall, or about 12 centimeters in height. Then, to compare the trick-or-treaters with the retro cloth ones, also from NECA, here's what they look like. Skeleton with skeleton. Witch with witch. The witch is going to have a little harder time, I think, to stand. Let's get her feet just to be bent back just a little bit. And then not blocking the camera, hopefully, anymore. Here's what also the jack-o'-lantern looks like with the jack-o'-lantern. The jack-o'-lantern, in the case of the retro cloth line, at least would allow at least the witch's hat to be removable. The witch's hat, in the case of the Toony Terrors version of the jack-o'-lantern, is permanently attached, which I kind of wish it could have been something that would have been removable. And another trick-or-treater, at least we can bring in from the Toony Terrors line. Here's what the figures also look like from Sam, well, with Sam from Trick or Treat itself. For the figure 3-pack, they all come included with treat bags. Treat bags of different shapes and different sizes. They're all sort of more designated for specific characters over the others. And you can kind of see the way that their arms are placed, that you kind of have a specific idea as to which bags go with which figures. One thing also to note about the jack-o'-lantern, yeah, as already mentioned, he's going to have a little more of a harder time to stand. He actually works the best with his arms being straight and off to the sides. If you have his arms brought forward, it's going to off-kilter the figure and he's going to be falling over a lot more. But like I said, they all come included with these treat bags. So like for example, the skeleton comes included with one that kind of looks, in fact, like a blanket. There's nothing inside of these are all just hard plastic, but these do fit into their hands. So you can take, for example, the skeleton and just wedge it in between his fingers. The thing, unfortunately, about that is the times that I've already done this, I've noticed a little bit of the paint has flaked off the fingers. But the jack-o'-lantern, or the skeleton, does hold his. The witch's does hold hers. Although with her, she actually looks like she's holding a purse. You take, again, the bag that doesn't look like it has got anything on the inside. No treats to speak of. But that's going to just clip inside of her hand. And again, she's sort of more going to be holding it like she's holding a purse. The strange thing about her arm, though, is the other arm is bent like it's supposed to be holding something. I thought like maybe a jack-o'-lantern would be an ideal thing, that because she could have been holding inside her arm, because it just kind of does look like she's supposed to be holding something. And then in the jack-o'-lantern's case, he actually comes included with this tiny little bag. It's the smallest of the 3. It's very likely he's not going to be able to hold many things. Maybe snack-sized Snickers. Snack-size Snickers. That's a tongue twister. Have you seen how small those things are? They're about this size. I mean, obviously Halloween's long and gone, but snack-sized Snickers. Say that 10 times fast. Only about this size now. They're ridiculously small. But the idea with this one is it actually just hooks onto his hand. And he's supposed to hold it just like parallel to his body. Now, I did say like the figures do have articulation, but when it really comes to the jack-o'-lantern, unfortunately, the way they've actually designed the jack-o'-lantern, we want to actually look at this guy first. For all intents and purposes, you can actually bring his arms out, and he can then hold the bag in his hand this way. But unfortunately, the way they've actually designed his feet, one foot is flat, the other foot is a bit on an arch. You can see it's flat here on the front, but it's kind of scooped in on the back. The idea is it's supposed to be like, he's supposed to be, I guess, having one foot a little bit further back. It kind of actually looks like he has to use potty, but it does, if you have his arms forward like this, resulting in the figure falling over more times than I can actually count. The detailing on this one is actually really good. I do, again, wish that his witch's hat would have been something that could have been removed, but still it's a nice touch. And speaking of also nice touch is the fact that they would have actually included the silver shamrock badge. It's on all 3 of them. This one is certainly the tallest of the 3. I do wish that, if anything, if they're going to be sculpting the feet like this, that they could have also included a display stand that could have attached onto the underside of his figure's feet. Because again, like with this figure, he's going to have the hardest time to stand. He stands the best, honestly, if you have his arms just straight to the sides of his body. I don't know why necessarily why didn't they just not make the feet flat on both sides? I think you would have had a much easier time. Or again, if you're going to be sculpting the feet like this, include the display stands, for example, like they would have done with the twins from Shining. Have something along those lines. But yeah, I mean, this one, they all have pretty much the same articulation. There's going to be a ball joint on the heads. You can move them up and down, back and forth. We're probably not going to look at the articulation on every single figure, but you kind of get the idea. Head, like I said, up and down, rocking back and forth. And then again, like straight swivels only on the arms. There's articulation here in the waist, and there's articulation here in the feet. Although with the feet, with the jack-o'-lantern, it's only going to just make the figure have a harder time to stand. I like the look of him, but I just, again, wish that his feet were a little bit more flat, because, again, like, just getting him to stand is the hardest of the three. Maybe what we'll do is just lay him down here for right now. Getting a closer look then at the skeleton. We're going to go ahead and remove the bag out of his hand. I like the look of the skeleton. He does have, again, like the mask, he does have the little missing tooth there. Very bright on the face. You can see some nice cracks there on the side, and he does also have the little silver shamrock badge at the back there. Figures are basically all dressed in black here, although this one does have more of a time to shine because he has all the bones, again, painted there on the sides of his arms. Not really the sides of his arms on the sides. He has, again, the skeletal detail there on the front of his body and also down on his legs. Articulation, again, on this guy is going to be still the same, the ball joint in the head. Straight swivel arms. I did overlook one thing I did want to mention here with the jack-o'-lantern that's also here on the skeleton. Swiveled wrists. Although I just dropped the wrist. Or at least dropped the hand. Let me just go ahead and pick that up right now. And no waist articulation here on the skeleton, but he does have at least articulated ball-jointed feet. My favorite, though, of the three, which is kind of strange because when it came to the retro cloth figures, I usually always go to like the jack-o'-lantern as my all-time favorite of the silver shamrock mask. And yet, honestly, the one that's my favorite here is actually of the witch. I just love the sculpting of the head sculpt here. You got some really nice green being used here. You got the little warts there painted nicely, and a tongue sticking out there as well. Goes a long way. Now, again, with this one does have like the paper bag, but I mean, really, to be fair, you could give her this one. It just means, unfortunately, you're going to then give this bag to the jack-o'-lantern. It's just going to make him even more kind of top heavy. But again, like the only thing about this one is it does look like she really should be holding something. Like her arm is in a weird place that looks like it belongs to either be carrying around like a jack-o'-lantern or at the very least a football. I don't think she's probably going to be carrying around football. This one also does have a cape like the jack-o'-lantern. But again, like just a really nice looking figure. A little thick on the ankles, but overall just again, really cool looking witch. Again, for the articulation on this one, going to get the ball joint back and forth, up, down, and again, rocking back and forth. Arms swivel back and forth. So it kind of looks like as well that she's feeding herself some candy. Snack size Snickers, about this big. Arms rotate back and forth also on this side as well, and you get the straight swivel in the hands. Articulation also a little bit here as well on the feet, and she does have also the peg holes on the undersides of her feet. But again, like, I really like this set. Again, a big fan of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. The only thing, again, for when it comes to these, I like, first of all, as well, that they're not quite all the same size. The jack-o'-lantern being the tallest of the three. Unfortunately, again, though, when it comes to jack-o'-lantern, he's going to have a little more of a harder time to stand just by the way they've sculpted the undersides of his feet. Other than that, though, it's a nice looking set, and I'm really glad to see that these finally have now been introduced to the Toony Terror line that NECA's been doing all this time. Realize now, after this review's wrapping up, we're almost closing up shop for the night, that I really should have also brought in the Toony Terror Michael Myers. After all, it's from the same franchise, not technically of the same film timeline, because of course in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch they play it up as if the original Halloween is a movie that's playing inside the bar. But either way, I should have probably brought it in. Missed opportunity. You know, speaking of missed opportunities, to segue over, I do think again, like, these figures all stand well except for the jack-o'-lantern. I do like the jack-o'-lantern taller and kind of more lankier, but I do wish that the figure came included with a display stand. Just sort of the way he's off-keltered on his stance. By making one of the foot not flat like the other, it does make the figure, as a resulting of that, kind of a little more wobbly when you're putting him on display. If you have his arms parallel to his body, no problem. If you have his arms, though, forward, it's going to off-kelter the weight of him, and then he's going to take a tumble of the three. Of the really three, my favorite is still the Witch. Not something I thought it would be saying, because again, when we looked at any other versions of the trick-or-treaters, it's always jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern. And yet I find myself actually really digging the look of the witch. And really of the three, the one that I would always think that would belong better in the Scooby-Doo cartoon, at least of these three, would be the witch. I just like the expression they sculpted on her face, especially with the tongue sticking out of her mouth. But what do you guys think of the trick-or-treaters? Let me know down below in the comments section. And really, of the three, which is your favorite? Also, as well, if you guys are interested, pick this one up for yourself. I actually did find this one over on Entertainment Earth's website. If you guys are interested, it was hot off the truck, by the way. You can click the link down below in the video description. But what do you guys think of this set overall? Let me know down below in the comment section. Have you had the chance to pick up the trick-or-treaters from Halloween? Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? And if you have, what do you guys think of the set? Also, as well, if you enjoyed this video, want to hit with a like. If you love the content you guys are seeing and certainly do want to stick around for more, then make sure you hit the ever-crucial subscribe button down below and move on over to that rather suspect factory that's making masks. I don't know why they only ever really make those 3 masks. I know they've made things in the past, but it always seems like for that Halloween 3 movie, they only just made 3 masks. And every kid was just content to either be a jack-o'-lantern, a skeleton, or a witch. They probably should have branched out. Maybe that was probably just the whatever year that would have been. That would have been that year's models of masks, and they probably would have done something different the next following year. But certainly as well, like I said, stay tuned to this channel, because while we have wrapped up things right now for the Toony Terror Trick-or-Treaters, there's definitely going to be a lot more videos coming your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.